Hey friends, welcome to Above the Fold podcast. I'm your host, Jess Servion. We're going to be talking about everything in your customer's journey. You're going to learn things about customer experience, brand experience, and marketing secrets that help you drive your brand success. So stay tuned, buckle up, and let's get into the episode.
Welcome back to another episode. This week, I am in New York City. And I am here with Maddie Vance, who is a customer success manager at LinkedIn. Maddie, tell the homies who you be.
Thank you for having me. Great to be here. I'm Maddie Vance, customer success manager at LinkedIn, is what's on my LinkedIn profile, but really I'm a dog mom in Brooklyn who just moonlights as a CSM.
Right? This is what I do for money.
Yeah.
To feed my dog.
Exactly. Dog food's expensive, so.
I'd love to dive into how did you get started at LinkedIn?
Great question. Would you believe me if I told you I literally just submitted my resume online?
And they
Didn't know
called
a
you
single
back?
soul at LinkedIn. Didn't do anything crazy. Didn't make some dance video. I didn't reach out to anyone. I didn't know anyone at the company. And 5 months later, I got an email on a Friday afternoon from a recruiter hey, let's chat.
Ugh,
Yeah.
I love that.
Which is insane to think about. I think it was a glitch in the system, but
Yeah.
I'm still there. So
I know, because I think it's really hard. How do you work your way through the thousands upon thousands of applications?
I know.
You know?
I know. It's insane. But yeah, I remember I was sitting in my bed my senior year of college, and I was very determined in college I was I want to know what I'm doing after graduation. I want to know where I'm going to be. I want to know what my job is. I don't want to graduate and F around for the summer. I just had this chip on my shoulder, and I was sitting on my bed and scrolling through LinkedIn and came across the program has now been sunset, but what's called the Business Leadership Program, which is essentially a sales rotation program for early grads to get a start at LinkedIn. And shot in an application, like I said, it was maybe April of my senior year. Heard nothing, and I remember I was in an Uber on my way to dinner and checked my email and had an email from a recruiter hey, let's talk. And I was so excited. I was pumped, and it was August when I'd heard back from them. And so I got on the phone with this recruiter, and he pretty much was we have one spot left for our cohort starting in San Francisco in October.
Wow.
We'd love to interview you. And I was oh my God, they have one spot left. How many other people are... Actually, my first thought was okay, I was pulled out of the B list, off the bench, someone dropped out. But I was this is my shot, to work at LinkedIn. I was so excited. However, at the time, not to get deep off the start of the podcast, but I was going through a lot of mental health stuff when I graduated, and just dealing a lot with depression and anxiety and kind of things I hadn't addressed in college. And I knew probably the worst thing I could do was move across the country to San Francisco in 2 months. And so I was hey, I know you run these cohorts every 6 months. Is there any way I could interview for the next one out? And he was the recruiter, shout out to Sun. He's now at Nike doing good things. But he was I really enjoyed our conversation. Let me see what I can do.
Yeah.
And so I was able to get pushed out. And one, it just spoke to LinkedIn as a company, being able to, before I even had the job, they were being so accommodating and understanding, which was amazing. And then, went through the whole interview process and landed a spot.
Wow. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. So tell me a little bit, well, first of all, LinkedIn or not, I think big corporate companies, I think that's a really awesome program to have, right?
Yeah.
Especially for early graduates, because I think it sets you up for success.
Totally.
Because we enter careers, right? And we're I don't know what I'm doing. I've worked with a lot of interns and associate level people, and they're just figuring it out, right? And this program sounds like it creates a lot more structure and it sets you up for success, but also builds a culture of we want you to succeed. I'd love to hear kind of just your transition in that. Did you go to different departments? Were you doing different stuff?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more.
Yeah, so it was interesting because ultimately the start date had to be pushed out due to COVID.
Yeah.
So I actually worked at Verizon, a telco company in New York, kind of in the intermediary before I started doing something completely different. I was on their media partnerships team, but so I had a little bit of like work muscle, I guess, going into the program, which was nice. Other people in the program traveled or worked or a ton of different things, but throughout the program, so you rotated through we actually started our global customer operations or customer support, so responding to support tickets. And I truly think there was no better place to start, like getting thrown into the fire to learn the product, learn how to communicate with customers, work at a high volume. Really no better place to start. And then you could either rotate into either being a recruiter at the organization, or you could do work on our creator management team, which was brand new at LinkedIn, and was really just getting started. So we were pretty much, what's the saying, like building the plane as you fly it.
Yeah.
But it was really cool because it was a brand new space. It was something I knew nothing about. A lot of the kind of creator managers had come from like TikTok or Instagram, where it's much more established and had all this experience. It's like, hey, how do we bring this to life? Is there a way to monetize creators on LinkedIn? How do we think about that strategy? How do we get people into this program and get adoption? So rotated through that, and then eventually replaced on a sales development team in different lines of business at LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
Yeah.
I really want to talk about the creator management program. I really do. Because, well, off camera, we were like, I randomly said this comment to Maddie, and I was like, what's up with the LinkedIn algorithm? And what did you tell me?
I said, whoever built that locked in a box.
Yeah.
Threw it in the North Sea, and that's where it sits.
There is literally no rhyme or reason with it.
Yeah.
It's like 1 minute you're popping, next minute you're not popping.
Yeah.
Tell me about the yeah, it's true. Tell me about the creator program though. Like what, because it's interesting. It's an interesting play, right? Like I think LinkedIn is an interesting play. Like personally, from like a personal brand perspective, like I do double down in LinkedIn. Like I do post about like my craft and like what it is that I'm doing. And I see a lot of other people doing it, but then I get feedback from, or not feedback. I just hear people like who maybe like aren't on that tip, like doing the personal brand building, or like they don't really care that much, like all this stuff. They're like, oh, well, LinkedIn is very about me, right? And like posting about me. But I don't, my personal opinion, being a creator in that space, like I'm not a part of the creator program. I'm just saying like being like doubling down in LinkedIn and like and like that being my social media channel. I don't think it's about me. What I see it as, just my perspective, is that sharing about your craft and sharing about the things that you're doing and how you're thinking about it. So like for me, like I'm in like e-commerce and like customer experience or marketing or all these things, and like I want to talk about that type of material, because then like associate level individuals could be like looking at it and find it inspirational, right?
Totally.
Like that's how I think about it.
Yeah.
But what's your perspective? Like what is like the LinkedIn perspective?
Yeah. Or someone else, if, whether it's looking to you for like mentorship or guidance, or someone else who maybe is higher up saying, wow, I found this person on LinkedIn. They're doing amazing work. Like, how could I hire her? Or like get her, involved in my company or whatever not. But I think it's interesting. So, I mean, I guess I went through that, or was part of that organization over a year ago, or I guess almost 2 years now. But so it's evolved so much. And I know when I started out, it was all about adoption. So we were literally just shooting out messages to people who had a ton of followers, or posting a lot, or even people who were high up at, very well-known brands, trying to get them to come into this program. And then through the program, what we would try to provide is really just resources. We didn't have any, and I don't know if this has changed, we had no way to like monetize or anything like that when I was in it. I know that's kind of what the ultimate goal would be, is finding a way to let creators have a way to monetize on LinkedIn. I don't really know what that would look like. Because all the ads on LinkedIn are like for companies, or like it's all to help you create economic opportunity for people to find careers.
Right.
So it's interesting. I'm not a huge poster at LinkedIn, and I work there, which is ironic.
Yeah, but I think that makes sense. Like honestly, it does make sense, because like you're like, I'm just busy doing my job.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be like, it's like going, like, let's say you worked at Target, right?
Right.
You're like, I work at Target. I'm like here every day, 8 hours a day. Like, I don't want to keep going to Target.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But it's cool. I'm excited to see where it goes. There's some really
Yeah.
amazing people running the program. So, yeah, if you haven't turned creator mode on, I think you have.
I have.
Yeah, you have.
How
Okay.
do you know?
Because it says follow instead of connect.
Oh, I was wondering why it says that.
Yeah.
I was wondering, like, I always am like, why does it say,
Mhm.
oh. Okay, what's the benefits, do you think, of being a creator on LinkedIn?
In general,
Yeah.
I think it depends what kind of creator you are. Like there's all these people who are like LinkedIn, like how to make a rocking LinkedIn profile. Like
Yeah.
there's that whole market, right?
Yeah.
But then there's also the people who are much more so like where you are, career advice, mentorship,
Yeah.
guidance, things like that, which I love. Or then there's people who are just, I feel like posting controversial things just to go viral. Like I feel like that's my algorithm personally when I'm scrolling through is like crazy comments of like people just looking to shake up, you
Yeah.
know, whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think as a benefit, it's such a unique platform because it's all like written word and you have your whole, it's very exposing, like
Yeah.
your career history, where you went to school,
Yeah.
your photo.
So exposing.
Like people can directly reach out to you. Whereas if you're creating on Instagram or TikTok, like when user 6789 comments on your video, like that they hate you, you know, you can't see who that is. But on
Yeah.
LinkedIn, it's all there. So
Yeah.
Well,
let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Okay. So like Instagram, TikTok, all these places have like short form content, like video content, right? Is LinkedIn like, I've like read things, I've heard things, but is LinkedIn like looking to double down in like those areas?
Actually, what I do know about the algorithm, it does favor like media. Like it favors
Okay, good to know.
images.
I'm looking across the room
at
for
every-
anybody who is viewing.
Yeah.
I'm looking like, okay, noted. We're like media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think though that there are kind of doubling down on it, but the problem is that from a user and adoption perspective, it's all just repurposed from Instagram and TikTok where you're natively creating it and then people are just putting it on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Rather than something being like naturally created on LinkedIn. So
Interesting. I've been thinking about like a content play of doing like LinkedIn lives, depending on when this goes live. Like this could be the beginning of that thought, right? But yeah, I'm thinking about like doing LinkedIn lives.
You
and stuff like
should.
that, just for like educational material.
You should.
Right?
What are you thinking of talking about?
Kind of taking the post live that I already do. Like I do like career posts, right?
Okay.
Or job listing stuff, right? So it's like maybe it's like every Friday doing a 10-15 minute segment of like what those jobs are, right? What those jobs are. So a segment of that. And then I don't know, like doing like short form like interviews with people that like about like subject matter. So like my craft is very like creator brands because I come from Feastables, and like I also like work with other creator brands too. So and talking about like that and just bringing, so that's what I mean, like bringing the written content like just to life.
I like that.
I don't know. Are we like figuring out our content marketing strategy together
right? Well,
in this moment?
I subscribe to Girl Boss Daily.
Yeah.
I don't know if you get those emails.
I love Girl Boss Daily.
Love Girl Boss Daily.
Yeah, so underrated,
So
right?
underrated, so slept on.
Yeah.
But they have that segment like jobs of the week or jobs of the day or whatever, which I always love. And I feel like I'm always sending it to my friends who are in career ruts. Yeah.
Girl Boss was derived from Nasty Gal, right?
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to know a funny story?
Yes, I do.
So long time ago in my career, I worked in banking while I was going through art school. I was in banking. I was like a teller. I was also like lightweight, like a personal banker and stuff. And this is in Pleasant Hill, California. Sophia Amoroso, when she had the eBay store, what literally came to my my Wells Fargo that I worked
Okay.
at all the time, and like we would always like vibe and chat and like
Mhm.
talk and stuff. And she like it was just thrifting at the time,
Yeah.
right? And she would always like deposit her stuff, like all these things. And then I remember, and I will never forget this. So if Sophia ever comes across this segment, this
Yeah.
clip, right? This one comment that has stuck with me my entire fucking career. She said, "I don't know why you guys love doing this working for the man." Like, which is so ironic.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But like it stuck with me because of, like, she like really was just like before girl boss was even a girl boss thing, right?
Yeah.
She really took this whole like concept of like baddie women just doing it and making it and being like,
Yeah.
screw your norms,
Yeah.
right? And so like that's why that sticks with me so much. And like it also is like an exemplification of like all the things that like I've thrived in my career because of
Yeah.
that one moment of like, dang, she right. So to wrap up that story though,
Yeah.
right? So I definitely knew her before the days of Nasty Gal being nastygal.com,
Yeah.
Girl Boss, any of those things, right? And then like years later after I graduated fashion school,
Mhm.
I actually went to the old Nasty Gal office. Like I was like in LA at some point and like but she was like big corporate at that point.
Yeah,
So it's like
yeah.
it wasn't getting me a job. It was literally just viewing the office.
Right.
It was so crazy.
That's so crazy.
I know. And now she's a badass, man.
I know. She is a badass. Yeah. I mean, she was first. Like, imagine starting a brand literally called Nasty Gal. Like,
Yeah.
that was crazy at the time.
I know. It's so funny because think about it. Like that whole thing about girl boss and girl bossing has become like as career women has become a word, a saying, a thing. Like we talk about it all the time. We talk about like, okay, like celebrate women, but it's not even just celebrating women. Like it like changed the culture
Totally.
of career women.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy.
Yeah. Totally.
Man, Sophia Amoroso, wherever you are in the world now, she's like doing like VC stuff now.
Yeah.
Oh, she's
Which
such a
makes sense.
badass.
Who isn't doing VC stuff
I
now
wanna do
after
VC.
they?
Oh, dude, when we're done,
Yeah.
we're doing VC
Yeah.
stuff. We're incubating brands next, you know?
Yeah.
All right, completely switching gears. Let's get off of the LinkedIn stuff. I want to talk about you because we
Okay.
did spend a lot of time talking about other things. I want to talk about customer success management because a lot of times, like, okay, so customer success management is a part of customer experience, which I like really appreciate that you started your LinkedIn career in support because then you learn about the product, you learn about the customers. I'd love to hear, what does customer success management look like at LinkedIn? Let's start there.
Yeah. So customer success, the way it's structured at LinkedIn, and I know it's so different at every organization, but how it's structured at LinkedIn is it's by, so not every account has customer success support. It's by annual spend level, size of the organization, and kind of what their contract is with LinkedIn if you get a dedicated CSM.
Yeah.
So I am tied to about 100 or so accounts in our mid-market segment, for example. And then among those 100 accounts, it's divided by, I think I partner with like 7 account directors. So there's the ones who are actually tied to a quota, upsell, the actual renewal value, ROI, things like that. And then where I come in is much more looking at product usage, health of the account, ensuring adoption, product updates, and whatnot to set them up for the best possible renewal.
So like outside looking in, not even at LinkedIn, when you're telling your parents I'm a customer success manager, what are like, are they like, what is that?
Yeah, that's so funny because when I first started at LinkedIn, one, my dad told everyone I worked at Indeed for like 3 months.
Oh my God.
So I had to get him a t-shirt that says LinkedIn so he could remember, and he always wears it whenever I'm home, which is hysterical. It's like this ugly green t-shirt, but he loves it. Anyways, both of my parents made LinkedIn profiles once I started there, naturally. Why wouldn't they? And I will literally every now and again see like Jim Vance, my dad, viewed your profile.
Oh my God.
And I know he's like on the golf course with his buddies. And they're like, what is Madeline up to? Or like, what is your daughter up to? And he's like going and checking to confirm what my role is. Like, well, here she is, at LinkedIn. But anyways, the way I would describe it is like, I heard this on a podcast actually, Women in Customer Success with Marie Scobie-Pilley, shout out. But someone said, it's basically like the liberal arts degree of the sales world because you are doing everything from data and like those hard analytical skills to also your soft skills, like your Englishes and your histories of being able to communicate with customers, have strong written skills, problem solve, things like that. So That's kind of what I tell my parents is I'm a liberal arts kid for life.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad.
But that's a really good, I kind of really love that, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I started my career in actually customer success.
Yeah.
Right. But a different form of it. Like I was doing like an account management and like
Okay.
handling like a book of business, but in the travel industry.
Oh.
But I also would book travel too
Mhm.
for the like the C levels of like orgs like Medallia or Pinterest, like very
Mhm.
big like accounts, right?
Mhm.
And so you know, what's interesting though is like that's very like a support success type of thing,
Mhm.
right? But like from a different aspect. And then like later in my career, like more so became on the customer experience side of like support. And then, but because my roots were in that account management piece of it, it's just like, like it is literally a liberal arts degree
Yes, it is.
in your in a career because you learn so many different things that then apply to the rest of your career.
Yeah.
Um,
100%.
I mean, I'm a stand for customer success.
Yeah.
It's literally what it means.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to go into it too. Like I was in a quota carrying sales role in sales development at LinkedIn before. And, you know, when the time comes to decide if you want to be an account executive or like all these different, you know, quota carrying roles, I knew that wasn't for me. And I knew like I'd heard this description of I knew I wanted to be able to hone like analytical and data skills because I wasn't strong in that. Like, but
Yeah.
I wanted to learn how to be. But I knew I was strong in like problem solving, speaking with customers, getting in front of people, like building
Yeah.
those skills. And so, for me, I was like, I needed a new role where I could learn something and build that skill. So that's what attracted me to it initially. Also,
Yeah. I think what's also interesting from like LinkedIn perspective, right?
Mhm.
It's like here's this platform. Like think about it like maybe let's compare it to like Instagram, right?
Mhm.
So here's a platform that's traditionally free for a user, right?
Mhm.
But then if you're a business or you're a content creator or whatever it is, right? Like you need a specialization of like a bunch of other tools. So it's like LinkedIn cares enough
Mhm.
to like develop out like this like customer success program, not just like a sales program, but like the actual health of
Right.
like those companies to adopt the
Mhm.
overall of the platform.
Yeah.
And I think that's just really smart because like look at like Facebook
Mhm.
ad spend. Like
Mhm.
spend or like Facebook with like Meta, right? All of that and like and how you have to do like paid ads. Girl, all I know is that Meta Business Center is the most confusing platform. Like
Is it all like self serve?
it's all self-serve.
Okay.
There's like there's like people like account managers,
Yeah.
but getting a hold of any of those people is like literally who knows, man. These people are like in the depths of the sea.
Yeah.
Like good luck.
It's like link to link to link to link.
Yeah. There's no
Just sorry, no one
solving.
is available right now.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah. Don't call.
yeah,
Don't write.
yeah.
You're on your own.
You are
right?
not eligible. Spend more.
Yeah,
Like-
spend more. Spend more. Exactly.
You want to talk to someone? Spend more.
Yeah. But like, okay, so let's take that philosophy, right?
Yeah.
Like the meta, like that piece of it, right? And so like what's really hard is like if I'm and this is completely switching gears in the sense of like the types of customers, but if I'm a business and I am like doing paid ads, right?
Mhm.
And I'm utilizing like Meta Business Center and all these things and I can't even like utilize it very well, but then you want me to also do community management on this platform, but then I can't even but my like teams can't even like understand how to use it. What happens because I'm going through this with like somebody right now, like
Mhm.
what happens is like you can't use the platform, you can't get help on the platform. So
Mhm.
then in turn, you're just going to go get another platform that
Mhm.
just API connects.
Yep.
You know, so then you lose the adoption. So my point is the landing this plane
Mhm.
is that LinkedIn investing in that account management and that customer success is really smart because you can get people engulfed in the business.
Yeah,
you know?
totally. But I do think though, even with LinkedIn, it's like we have these like massive billion-dollar customers, and of
Yeah.
course, naturally, our smaller subscription, premium members or whatever it is, it's harder for them to find support. So it's
Yeah.
like, how do we build out these programs at scale? Have a resource center where it's easy to find the answer,
Yeah.
it's easy to talk to someone. So it's hard to do. I mean, I know like we're still working on it. I think every business is figuring it out, but
Yeah.
yeah. And it's just such a new role in general. Like,
Yeah. I know.
like what the heck was customer success, when you first started? Like,
Dude,
it sounds
nobody really like thought about. I mean, I worked at a few startups like 5 different startups. So it's like,
Mhm.
and each of those was like success, but it's so different. Like
Yeah.
success rolls into so many different departments.
Mhm.
Like you're either rolling into like sales, or you're like the CX, like the support and the success side of it, or maybe you're just CS.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's so interesting because it's like, I don't think, but I think this is like the same thing applies for overall customer experience. Like
Yeah.
nobody really knows the best places for these things to like live in.
Yeah.
But like if you have good leaders and you have good like setup of resources and
Mhm.
all these things, then you're gonna have a dope program.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally. I agree.
I know. Okay. Still want to ask you some questions about customer success though, right? So new career in it, right?
Mhm.
Like new career in it. What's one thing that you wish would change of the perception of customer success? Like we talked about like it being new, we talked about your dad, like all these things. Like what's the
Mhm.
one thing that you wish you can change about the perception of it?
My partners definitely still think it's customer support to some degree.
Uh-huh.
So that knowledge piece is always hard to be like, I don't have that technical background. I don't know why your single sign on isn't texting to your phone. I
You're like,
don't
I'm sorry.
like, I'm sorry. And like having to hand them off, like, you need to hop on with support. Like they have this knowledge and like are so equipped to help you with this. Like definitely wish I could change that perspective or perception about it. I think also just like awareness of in general that this role exists. Like if you want to stay in like a sales customer facing role, but maybe aren't as driven by a quota or like
Yeah.
making a shit ton of money. Like there's this role out there for you if you still want to stay in,
Yeah.
customer facing space. So
Yeah. What's one piece of advice that you would give to somebody who's like looking to get into customer success?
ooh, I would say whether it's customer success or like any role, I think, and because my customers are in the talent space, I feel somewhat equipped to speak on this. But
Yeah.
what's exciting is we're going through this shift right now where there's such a big focus on skills first hiring and moving away from like the school you went to, this idea of like pedigree and or maybe if you worked at a top company. And yes, of course, there's always going to be companies or roles where you have to have, a certain degree, or there's always going to be companies that pipeline from Harvard. Like, and unfortunately, we can't always change that. But I think if you're looking to get into customer success or any role, like focus on the skills that you've built. Like it doesn't matter where you worked. Of course, we're going to value education, but like brilliance is everywhere. So
Yeah.
focus on these skills you've built, the experience you've had. Don't sell yourself short. Don't undersell any experience you've had. Whether you shadowed somebody for half a day when you
Mhm.
were, in college as an externship, like that counts.
Mhm.
So that's what I would say is don't sell yourself short. Don't sell the skills you've built short because they matter. And that's what will help you land, whether it's customer success or any role.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, absolutely.
yeah.
Who's some of your favorite like LinkedIn creators that are in customer success that you follow?
Ooh, good
Or just like
question.
even if it's not on LinkedIn, just like you mentioned a podcast, right? Like what are some
Yes.
resources you love?
I love a pod. But I feel like I have less and less. I'm a dog mom like you,
Mhm.
or soon to be a foster dog mom.
Foster dog mom.
Like when I'm walking a dog, I love to throw on a customer success pod. I do love the women in customer success one with Marie. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, Marie, if you're listening, Marie Scopupelli, but she brings on a lot of like obviously women in the customer success space at a ton of different companies. So learning about, how to build education programs at various organizations or how to accelerate your career, the skills that you need. So I definitely recommend that one. I'd say she's like my flavor of the month
Yeah.
over the year right now.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I think like utilizing resources is like so just like important in like growing your career, and that's why I keep like going back to the creator space in LinkedIn because it's
Mhm.
not silly.
Mm-hmm.
It's like not silly. Like the whole purpose of it is to like help other people. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Help other people. And I personally don't think it's about me.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe this is me being like the empathetic person. Like I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not just about me.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's what you want to make of it. Like, if you want to use it solely to make it me, like build your brand, build
Yeah.
your whatever, like go for it. But like, it is such a valuable space to learn from other people and to let other people learn from you.
Yeah,
So
totally. What do you wish that somebody would do, or like, what is something that you wish that everyone would do to their LinkedIn profile?
That's hilarious.
Like, who do the titles actually work? You know what I mean? Like the little.
Oh, like human-centered, like lover, nature, whatever, boss, customer.
Yeah,
Like
foster dog mom.
I'm like, who wrote this?
Yeah,
I mean, so it's funny because it's also like companies have adopted that when they're posting jobs, they come up with these crazy arbitrary titles. But on the back end, what we're doing is standardizing them back to what they should be. So if you are posting a software engineer as like coding wizard, we're just standardizing it in the algorithm to be software engineer. So we're doing that with like profiles as well, like with your crazy title. But I would say if you could do anything, I would say delete the years of when you graduated, because ageism is real, and you know, people should be focused on like even if you've only worked for 3 years, you could have done 10 years of work. So
I know.
That's one thing. I would also say, yes, I know we're all inundated with messages from sellers and recruiters and people who want to, you know, help us rock our profile or whatever it is. But I would say like reply to people, honestly, or even just like open the message, because tables always turn and you never know in 6 months when you might actually want to reach out to a recruiter or buy someone's product. So if you can sort through the junk, I would say like just open the message, see what you have to say.
Yeah. I really try to get back to all my DMs as much as possible.
I love that.
So it gets a little hard.
What do you feel like you're flooded with the most?
Like, honestly, people who don't really read my profile.
Really?
Like, I have somebody sitting in my like DMs that has like messaged me like 4 different times, and they're like, "Hey, do you need a therapist?" And I'm like, "Sir." Like, sir, yes, okay, but I have one, okay?
Yeah.
First of all. Second of all, this isn't really, like, what gives you that I need a therapist? Is it, like, my, like, you know, random posts? Like, the vibes aren't vibing, my guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was just, it's really weird.
Yeah, that is so wild, especially with AI and everything now. Like, literally, LinkedIn can draft a message for you that will include information from your profile.
It's so weird. It's so weird. And the only reason it's like top of my mind is because literally that was a message I just like opened just recently. And I'm like, I'm gonna reply back to him and just be like, "Hey, my dude. Val will be very jealous." Val's my therapist.
Yeah.
Just kidding. She would never be jealous, because that would be like a really like psychotic therapist to work with. Yeah. But I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for reaching out, though.
You're like, but here are like maybe 10 people you should reach out to.
Yeah. I know some people that do really need some therapy. I invite you.
Try them.
Yeah. Wait, I actually have a question. You know, I actually have a question. I have several questions all the time. I want to go back to like LinkedIn again. And the reason is because you know how like you contribute to those articles?
Yeah. Be a contributor.
Yeah. Okay. You know how you can get top voice or whatever? How many articles do you actually have to contribute to?
I don't know.
I think it's a crazy number.
But here's my customer success answer.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm not too sure about that side of the business, but I'd be happy to reach out to a colleague and get back to you.
Okay, great. Great. Yeah. Get back to me, please. I would like to know.
By end of next week.
Okay, great. But do you know this part? Like, are those titles like I have like top retention voice?
Right.
Are they like, what does that really do for the algorithm? Do you know?
I don't know what it does to the algorithm.
Is it just like something to have? Is it like a badge?
Yeah, I think it's just a way, like, because we have all these different badges, like if you have premium or if you're like verified that you like actually are the CEO of like, you know, that you are Bill Gates or whatever it is.
Yeah. No, this is really Bill Gates. Yeah.
I think it's again, or like now we're also offering a way to like verify like if you're a real recruiter and not just like, you know, a faker or something. So
good.
I think it's again a way to just like give you credibility.
Yeah.
In that aspect.
Great. I wish my rubies dealer in India, remember I said
had a badge on LinkedIn.
Had a badge.
Real rubies dealer. You should submit that as product feedback.
I know. Just that was a inside joke that I'll bring everybody into. I just got back from India and I like woke up this morning thinking, I don't think the rubies that I purchased are real, and went down a rabbit hole of like, are these real? I really don't think they're real
Yeah.
at all. I think I got scammed, guys.
Well, if it makes you feel better, this is so embarrassing. For like 3 years, I've been wanting, I'm a Dyson stan, right? I have the blow dryer, like
Love a
vacuum, like whatever.
Dyson. Ugh.
And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to get the fan, the air purifier, like $500 fan.
Yeah.
Like, it was on sale from Best Buy. So I was like, this is my time.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say my address on a podcast, but whatever. I live on a North Street and I accidentally typed in an East Street. So my Dyson fan is sitting on some random person's porch in like deep Brooklyn.
Oh, no.
And I was like, thought about driving, but I street viewed the house and I'm not showing up there. So
Oh, no.
that was a quick message with customer support too.
Are they going to replace it?
Yes, it's arrived today.
Oh, thank God. But people get messed up, man. People
Yeah.
do you know how many times I've done that though?
Oh, because they autofill your address.
They
and then you don't look.
Yeah, they autofill because you're just so excited about the purchase. You're like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
Dude, so many times because I moved in Chicago.
Yeah.
So I moved in Chicago and I have like a new place, right? But I lived in this other place for so long.
Yeah.
So I get super excited. And so for some reason, my Shop Pay app still has my old address.
Oh.
And so like
Yeah.
luckily the tenant that lives there literally just sends like Alex and I, that's my fiance, an email and she's like, hey, I got a package for you.
Okay, that's
But it's
nice.
like so annoying because I'm like, sure, this lady is like moved into this apartment. But
Yeah.
she's like, I'm not trying to see Jess and Alex again. Like,
yeah.
you don't stay in contact.
Okay,
You
well,
know
you're
what I
lucky
mean?
because I didn't hear anything from where my Dyson fan
Yeah,
went.
they were like sick.
Yeah, I street viewed that house. I was like, I'm not getting that back.
Yeah, I know. Shoot.
Yeah.
All right, my girl. Well, we are at the end of the road.
This was so fun.
Well, thanks for coming on and
Yeah.
teaching us about LinkedIn and customer success because I think this is really valuable.
Yeah.
Um,
Connect with me on LinkedIn.
I was just gonna say, where can the people find you?
Connect with me on LinkedIn. Maddie Vance. I read my messages, so you're always welcome to reach out.
Except when asking questions about the algorithm.
Yeah, except that. I will direct you elsewhere.
Great. Well, we're going to put your LinkedIn and the show notes. And I appreciate everybody tuning in for another episode. And you will hear me next week. Cheers. Dang, we've made it to the end of the podcast and you're still here. So thank you so much for listening to Above the Fold podcast. For the best of this episode and every episode, be sure to follow us on Instagram and my YouTube channel. And for deeper dives on the secrets to brand success, don't forget to subscribe to my weekly newsletter, Sunday Postcards. All right, my dudes and gals, see you next week.